showtime.
Not every horror features guts and gore, but the ones that do range from tame to traumatizing. So here we are with a list, talking about the ones that seared themselves into our brains. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. I'm your host, Jamie, and get ready for the top 10 gruesome deaths in a horror film. Number 1. Reverse Bear Trap, Saw series. Making its iconic debut in the first film, we don't actually see it do its damage until Saw 3D after Detective Hoffman traps Jigsaw's wife Jill in it as retribution for her turning on him. While the Saw series isn't lacking in gruesome traps, another contender is Timothy Young being pulled apart on a medieval rack in Saw 3. The reverse bear trap is by far the fan favorite. I think upon seeing it, everyone can imagine what it must feel like to have both halves of your jaw pulled apart in opposite directions. I think the only downside is that at first, the only one to survive it was Amanda, but then they ruined it by having Hoffman survive it too. Number 2. The Escalator, Final Destination 4. Nothing like the fear of getting your shoelace stuck in the escalator, am I right? Well, this fear might go extinct in the near future as malls are becoming more and more obsolete, and the only other places that use escalators over elevators that I know of are airports. It is still something that sticks in the back of my mind every time I step onto one. Always gotta grab the rails first, and then make sure you step over onto the rising step, planting your foot firmly in the middle as to make sure your shoelaces aren't anywhere near the edges. With that being said, Final Destination 4 lovingly brings this fear to life as we see Laurie, played by the beautiful Chantel Van Stanton, trying to escape a collapsing mall and getting stuck into an escalator just as her boyfriend arrives to try and save her. She is ground apart by the gears, screaming bloody murder as chunks of her are flung all around. Number 3. The Chestburster, Alien. The classic masterpiece that is Alien blew people's minds back in the day, and you know what? It still holds up to this very day. You can't say that about many films made back in 1979. What's so great about this iconic scene is that even the actors didn't know what to expect. So the genuine fear that blows up on their face as Alien rips its way through Kane's ribcage is all too real. Not to mention the brilliant and downright realistic acting done by the incredible John Hurt just sells the scene even more. Tell you what, the food really may be that bad. Number 4. Chains of Hell, Hellraiser. Not saying that Hellraiser's Frank Cotton didn't deserve to die at the hands of the Cenobites for all the evil he's responsible for, but damn if I didn't feel a little bit bad about the way he was torn apart by the Chains of Hell. What makes the scene even better is that actor Andrew Robinson's improvised line, "Jesus wept," just right before he's ripped to shreds. Special effects maestro Bob Keane really brings out the fleshy, gooey realness in all the bits displayed, especially earlier in the film when with Frank's escape from hell, and makes the death scene feel all the more painful. Number 5. Self-Decapitation, Hereditary. A downright masterpiece by Ari Aster. Hereditary follows a family dealing with grief while secretly being manipulated by a cult that worships an ancient demon named Payman. While earlier in the film we witness another decapitation, this one being of the young daughter Charlie, who sticks her head out of the car window trying to catch her breath during an allergic reaction, it's not as in-your-face visceral as when we later see the mother Annie sawing off her own head with a piano wire. Brilliantly acted by Toni Collette, the expression on her face alone sticks in your mind like a never-ending nightmare. And the sound design, as the head comes off, plops on the ground, bounces once or twice, and begins to roll towards her son, I'm pretty sure this traumatized many viewers. Number 6. Explosion in the mist. Okay, so I am in no way advocating that people go around and start killing spiders. They're actually good for the environment. They eat pests like mosquitoes and flies, and generally will leave you alone if you don't mess with them. Except, of course, the ones from the mist. Just thinking of this scene is already making my skin itch. The scene starts off quiet. Our adventurous explorers finally leaving the supermarket in an effort to find a way to get help. Enter the pharmacy next door, and it's already off-putting as it's covered in webbing as if it had been abandoned for years. And then they see him, one of the army-based soldiers who went AWOL after the inciting incident, webbed up against a support beam. As they get closer to investigate, BAM! He wakes up, clawing at his face and chest. He wriggles free and smashes down onto the ground and just explodes into a wave of tiny spiders. Soon they are being attacked by the nest parents and all hell breaks loose. Now, I know in real life we all have microorganisms in our bodies that are essentially eating us from the inside out. I mean, it's pretty much what kept H.P. Lovecraft up at nights and influenced his cosmic horror in the first place. But I can't imagine what it feels like to have 1,000+ little creatures inside my body eating me up and then bursting through my skin. Just nope. Number 7. Defibrillator Disaster, The Thing. Rob Bottin will probably go down in history as one of the best special effects wizards of the film industry, and it's primarily thanks to this film. Without his ingenious designs in bringing the titular creature to life, this film would most likely have been a forgotten B-rated bargain film. Now, that's not to say the acting was subpar or anything in this film. It boasted a stellar cast and one of the most intriguing and well-executed plots in the sci-fi horror genre. Heavily influenced by the likes of Lovecraft's cosmic horror storytelling and the societal issue of fear of the unknown, the film brimmed with paranoia and gross-out gore from start to finish. For me, though, it's the defibrillator scene. Everyone who's a fan of horror knows this scene. Norris suddenly goes down after he has a heart attack and is rushed into the medical lab so they can save his life. It's at this moment that Copper grabs the defib paddles and attempts to jumpstart his heart when Norris's chest opens up into a huge mouth and bites off his arms. Chaos ensues. His head detaches itself and grows legs to run away. Several insect-looking legs explode out of the body as well, and it begins to try and attack the others. When it's finally blasted by a quick-thinking McReady wielding a flamethrower. Just epic. Number 8. Headache. Scanners. Scanners is brought to you by the master of body horror that is David Cronenberg. The film's plot revolves around psychics who have the ability to use telepathy to read thoughts and kill people from a distance. One moment happens pretty early in the film and was promoted to hell and back in the trailers, and that is the head explosion scene. The way they did this scene, though, is crafty. They basically made a replica of the actor's head, filled it with pig guts and fake blood and other chunks of stuff, and then pointed a shotgun at the base and blasted it in a spectacular gore fountain. At the time, it looked so realistic that people literally got sick watching it. It's no surprise it still holds up to date. Although with modern viewing options, you are able to slow down the action enough to see the switch between the real actor and the prop head. Number 9. Sliced Bread. Fear Street, 1994. Part of Netflix's Fear Street trilogy, the first installment sees the residents of Shadyside mysteriously dying off every few years, usually at the hands of some citizen turned deranged killer. Eventually, the curse runs rampant once again, and a group of teens must figure out a way to stop the supernatural events while fending off against an array of slasher villains. While most of the kills are of your average stabby-stab variety, there is actually an epic close to the conclusion of the film. Kate, played by the hilarious and cute Julia Rewald, tries to lead one of the killers away from the group when she is caught and wrestled down onto the table in the bakery. She tries her best to fight him off, but eventually she is pushed headfirst into a bread slicer, turning her face into a neatly vivisected parts. I actually felt bad for her because I really liked her character, but what a way to go. Number 10. A Dance to Die For, Suspiria. I'm talking about the 2018 remake starring Dakota Johnson. While I do prefer the original with all its vivid colors and surreal imagery, the new one outdoes it in one category, the dance of death. Dakota Johnson is commissioned to do a dance by the witches who run the academy, and she is able to contort her body in ways that seem almost supernatural. However, unbeknownst to her, a rival dancer is unwillingly made to perform the same dance moves in some twisted telepathic way. Her body is twisted and broken in several directions, and honestly, I had to look away the first time I watched this. Upon a rewatch, though, it's almost intimate in the way it's filmed. Very seductive. If you haven't seen the film, I highly suggest checking it out. The finale is also quite jaw-dropping. Thanks for checking out the video. Any horrific deaths we left off the list you think deserve a mention? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to tap that bell icon to stay up to date with our latest releases. You can reach us on Twitter or X at StudiosFat, or chat with us on Discord, link below in the description. I've been your host, Jamie. Have a spooky good time and see you later.